Are you going to swing big for Kyle Tucker? Are you going to take a not as big swing, but put a lot of money into a potential Cody Bellinger type of deal? So that kind of is one of the big questions that the organization kind of has right now. And Kyle Tucker, he's just the guy that happens to be at the top because there's not a lot of those future Hall of Famers available. And I think when you look at the Yankees' pursuit of Kyle Tucker, well, the Blue Jays just signed Dylan Cease. So does that make it more easier for the Yankees to sign Kyle Tucker? Because that's, I think, the move that they should make. Go out there and sign Tucker, put him in that short porch in right field, let him be your outfielder. Because the Dodgers, I still think if you're going to go after Kyle Tucker, it's got to be on a shorter AAV, shorter year, higher AAV type of deal that was basically the modern day version of the Bryce Harper type of contract. I mean, are they really going to give him $400+ million? Are they really going to go to the $350 million range? If you can get him for the Cody Bellinger price, of course you would take that. Could you get him for $325 for 10? That's something that I would entertain. But when you're talking $400 million for a player that's has injury issues, that isn't particularly elite at one thing or the other, then I have issues with $427 million. And that's when you look at some of the projections right now. The Athletic has him at $427 million. John Heyman reported about the Dylan Cease deal, and that's just a little less money in a market that you're going to probably assume is not going to be in on Kyle Tucker, and probably they now shift to trying to bring back Bo Bichette. But right now, I'm still lukewarm on Tucker unless it's at the right price. But I do want to run down some other free agents they could get. And we talked about Cody Bellinger. You guys know I've said you don't want to reheat the McDonald's French fries, but I'm still in on Cody Bellinger as an option at the right price, just because I think that his timeline matches the current cores. He knows what it's like to play in Los Angeles. He's the 16th toughest hitter to strike out in Major League Baseball. You don't see a ton of swing and miss in his game anymore. And I think that he's going to translate to a guy that can give you above average offense, above average defense. And then when that contract is over, who knows? He could take over Freddie Freeman at first base, or he can hopefully just be a serviceable outfielder. I wouldn't say I'm at a 10 out of 10 like I have been in years past for guys like Yamamoto or Ohtani or Roki, those types of guys. But they need an outfielder. They need to add to the outfield. If they think that they're just going to have Teo in left or right and Paz in left or right and center and Tommy Edman and maybe working some Dalton Rushing and have Ryan Ward, that's just not a plan to fix an outfield that has been one of the worst in Major League Baseball for the last couple of seasons. So I certainly think they need to add a guy. The trade market, I think, is a little more interesting than the free agent market, unless you're going to swing for Tarek Skubal, because you could go out there and you could look at trades for guys like Wilyer Abreu of the Red Sox. It's just 26. You get younger. 110 weighted runs created plus, so he's 10% above league average. Did have some injuries. And then he's not great against lefties, but he's got power. The last couple of seasons, you're seeing some pop in the bat kind of increase. He's not my best option, but as far as defensively, he is one of the best defensive right fielders. Byron Buxton, he's right at the top for me. We've talked about this on the show extensively. A 136 weighted runs created plus last year. He's someone that made the All-Star team. He's above average defender. His issue for me only is that he struggles to NordVPN for sponsoring this episode of Dodgers Dugout Live. So go to nordvpn.com/Dodgers. Protect yourself online and make sure you never miss a Dodgers game again. Huge thanks to NordVPN for sponsoring today's episode. And if you're traveling, if you're living outside the market, or maybe the streaming services that you use, they decided tonight was the night to hit you with one of those annoying blackout messages, NordVPN fixes that. that. And look, it's not just streaming. NordVPN keeps your connection secure, your data encrypted, and your online activity private. So whether you're watching highlights, checking stats, or arguing about the starting lineup, you're protected. And of course, you get all the classic benefits of a VPN, and they're at your disposal too. The NordVPN threat protection feature that protects you from viruses and malicious malware, and NordVPN account can be used to 10 devices. So even better, you can try NordVPN risk-free thanks to their 30-day money-back guarantee. And to get the best discount off your NordVPN plan, go to nordvpn.com/Dodgers. Yeah, going back to Byron Buxton. He's got 2 years, $45 million left on his deal. If he has that no trade clause and he wants to get himself to Los Angeles, that could be a move that you can make because he aligns with Freddie in Mookie's prime, Shohei's prime, a leader. The only issue I have with him is there has been some talk he wants to play some DH. Other option, Brendan Donovan of the Cardinals. So Brendan Donovan, you're talking about versatility. You're talking about a guy you could platoon in left with Ryan Ward if you want to give him his opportunity. Not going to cost you a lot financially. Will cost you prospects. He played 100 of his 118 games at second base, and the Dodgers were interested. I can tell you from sources in St. Louis that the Dodgers were interested in trading for him at the deadline. Nothing happened, and anytime you're talking about a deal with the Cardinals, you got to do a deal with a team that's your National League, with your National League competition, right? Do you want to shake hands with the enemies? That's the other thing. But he's a better hitter than Stephen Kwan. He really is. Hit 287, a 119 weighted runs created plus. He only strikes out 13.5% of the time. He doesn't have a ton of pop in that left-handed bat, but the average exit velocities, Dodgers like players that hit the ball hard. He's in the 94th to 96th percentile when it comes to some of the hard hit metrics. Defensively, a 0 DRS, a -2 outs above average. Kind of even. I wouldn't say I'm as in love with Brendan Donovan as others, but at the right price, he's certainly interesting as well. Other deeper cut names, Brenton Doyle of the Rockies, center fielder, 27, had a big season, but I mean, I don't know. He's not my cup of tea. Jarren Duran is another one that I think is right there, right beneath Byron Buxton. I got Buxton 1, I got Duran 2 as my second best trade option, just because he rakes 285, 31% above league average, hits the ball hard, gets you doubles, can run the bases, one of the fastest guys in the league, leads the league in triples. Ian Happ is another option. Ian Happ, 31. He's another option. Stephen Kwan, we've talked about hitting the Kwan. Couple years left. He does not hit the ball hard at all. One of the worst, but he does hit for contact, doesn't strike out a lot. I think for me, you wonder, has he peaked as a player? He can't play right field. He's below average at right field, below average in center field. So if he plays left field, you're basically saying you have to keep Teoscar Hernandez in right field. Do you really want to see that? I'm not so sure. I think for me, in my case, I like him as a guy if you don't have to give up top prospects for sure. But you have to remember this. He's just an above average outfielder in left. And if you're going to keep him in left, that means you're going to limit options for Teoscar. And do you think Teoscar is going to be better in right? No, he's going to get worse in right. He's got to be in left. He's going to be on this team. Now, if you trade for Stephen Kwan, you trade Teo, then yeah, that's something that you could consider. I don't think they're going to do that. Lars Nootbaar is an option. Luis Robert Jr., we talked about on the show for a long time, and we know the potential is there. I just don't know if he's ever going to be back to being that guy. He's had a hamstring injury that he's kind of dealt with, and that kind of hurt him at the end of last season. But the truth is, he's got undeniable and high upside talent. And if the Dodgers feel like they can mold him, the White Sox are a natural trade partner. Other options, you got Kyle Stowers that we talked about on this show, that's another option. But yeah, we're going to be talking about this all off season, kind of what you do with the outfield market, who do you trade for. But those are the outfield options.